Namaste and welcome to this 19th session of spiritual aspects of Agnihotra. Last week we discussed the three mantras of Yajurveda third chapter that comprise of Samidadhan, what are allowing us to put a Samidha that has been wetted into ghee, and we do it one after another, one at a time. So we discussed the three mantras shown here. They are from the third chapter of Yajurveda 1, 2, and 3. Samidhagnim duvasyata susamidhaya shochise tantva samidvyangyo. Prior to that, 2 weeks ago, we had discussed this mantra, Ayantid Mahatma Jata Vedaste. So anyway, so first Samidha is offered after this, second one after these two, and the third one after this mantra. That is the sequence. And last week we mentioned, because these are three mantras and three samidhas, we again took the opportunity to talk about three levels of Agni. At the very beginning we discussed that dialogue between Nachiketa and Yam, and Nachiketa was given, after waiting for 3 nights, he was given 3 boons. And now is the time for him to get answer, and he is getting a response in terms of 3 times 3 layers of Agni, so to say. And this magic number 3 has its origin from the very first sound, Om, that we have seen, which comprises of A, U, and Ma, Makar. And then we have seen the Agnihotra begins with Om Bhu Bhuva Swa. So Bhu Bhuva Swa are also the names for that Supreme Being, but also refer to Bhu is for the earth where we reside, we live, we get the support, and Bhuva is the intermediate space, and Swa is the sun that is holding the earth. So Bhu Bhuva Swa are three sorts of spaces that we have. And then we have also seen Uma refer to names such as Agni, Vayu, and Aditya, respectively. And also they correspond to Pran, Apan, Vyan, because their origin is Bhu is for existence, that is what A is, to bring things into birth, to give birth to all the things. That's what that supreme consciousness does. And then everything is allowed to sustain for a while, as long as it's their lifetime. And Swa is that it is recycled back. And in this, as far as interaction with us is concerned, we express our gratitude to that Supreme Being, referring to Bhu as you brought us into this world. Bhua is you allow us not only sustenance, give us the energy to get away from all kinds of pain and suffering. And Swa means finally we come to your lap to feel that supreme bliss kind of a thing that is absolutely untouched by any pain and suffering. And we get that taste of that in deep, dreamless sleep. And that's what we want to replicate in Samadhi. So that's a Sankhya statement. Samadhi Sushupti Mokshishu Brahmrupta. And that is what motivates us to be in permanent with him. That's what is mukti. So last week when we discussed these three mantras, then we noticed that there is a plane of Agni, and that same plane of Agni gives rise to another Agni, another fire that is called the Jat Vedas. And that is seen in the sky when two clouds collide. That gives rise to a kind of what is called Vidyut, a light, an Agni in the space. So that could also be Jat Vedas. And of course, the third level is Angeyas. The sun itself is a fireball. So we have seen three levels of Agni. Agni, that same Agni giving rise to Jat Vedas, same Agni giving rise to Angeyas. And Agni is basically that supreme consciousness. And in our discussion, we noticed that this could be the very basic knowledge that we need. And for any knowledge, for any Agni, there has to be some effort. Though Agni is inherently in the Samhita, but we put in some effort and we pour some ghat into it. That is ghee. So ghat is common parameter in all the three mantras. That efforts to the efforts that human being can put in. It's not possible for animals and birds. Even other species, they don't utilize the wood as fire, is it not? Because wood also, generating fire from wood requires a peculiar kind of effort. Two pieces of wood, and they have to be rubbed one against another, and that is mechanical friction. That gives rise to spark, and then we have to be smart enough to capture that spark through some dry gas or some other things, and then we keep it for a while, is it not? So even this action is only human beings are capable of doing it. And further on, this is further enhanced by periodic offering of ghee. And ghee symbolizes milk from the cow, and then a number of processes from milk to the yogurt to the churning, buttermilk, butter, and then clarified butter in the form of ghee. So there is a long process of effort that we may have that is symbolized by the ghee. And then we say that this fire, we want to use it for propagation of all the goodness. So even from the knowledge point of view, the basic knowledge is coming to us from Agni, and thereby we have to put some effort to gain that. And that enlighten us to things that are around us, the gross objects, is it not? If we make further effort, then that same knowledge is able to purify us. Further effort, again, Ghitam is there, Tivyam Juhota. But now it gives rise to Agnaye Jat Vedase. Now we have a knowledge. Now we can gain knowledge to know everything that is taking birth. So Ved is to know, and Jat is anything that has taken birth. So beyond these gross, coarse objects that our sensory organs pick up, there are minute things that are also taking birth and that are in our mind domain. And they are subtle, more subtle than our sensory organs. So the first category of things are called as Vishesh, that can be captured by our sensory organs. But second level of things are, they are also taking birth, Jat Veda, but They are not, they are more subtle than our sensory organs. They are called as avishesh. Then how do I know it? Through sampajnat yoga, sampajnat samadhi, which requires deep practices in deep meditation, is it not? So that is the effort that gives rise to the knowledge pertaining to subatomic particles that form our mind, and that also has been formed, has been given birth by that Supreme Being, and we ought to know it. So we gain the knowledge of those minute particles through the process of meditation at a certain level, what is called Sampajnat Yoga. And then I have, as if I have been enlightened with that fire that is formed, given, coming from, originating from Agni, but is specifically referred to as Jat Vedas. Further effort, further effort brings me here to a point that I can discriminate that where we saw Yavishthya. We have a, beyond the purification now, I have final discriminatory capability that discriminates between Purush and Prakriti. So that level of knowledge is generated after what is called Vivekhyati. That is even beyond Sampajat Yoga, when my chit is absolutely blank. In Sampajat Yoga, there is something, a kind of a flash is captured by my chitta. That flash is originating from that Ishwar. It is not my own chitta vritti. I have made my chitta blank, but he gives me a gift of some flashes of insights, knowledge that is pertaining about very minute objects that are not discernible by our sensory organs. And further progress brings me to a point that now my senses that my senses um, you know my sensory organs are not participating, and I am very much, I have come to a point that my chit is absolutely blank, and now something is emerging. Now there is nothing, now chit is not being used as a vehicle or as a carrier or as an instrument. I, for me, that push, I see myself and I see my instrument of chitta separately. I can discriminate it. So that discriminatory ability is called level of knowledge, called as Angeyas. Angeyas means that component, Ang is component, that I am an aggregate of Purush and Prakriti, and those two components, namely Purush and Prakriti, I am now able to discriminate against. So that was what we discussed last week through these three mantras of Samidadhan. Today we want to continue with the next series of mantras that form what is called Jal passation. So we are very familiar with them. They are used, they are in total four mantras, and we sprinkle water around the Havan Kund. Before that, I should make some remark about this mantra, which is from Ashwalayan Gahi Sutra, which we have covered 2 weeks ago. But now it appears again, and this is recited 5 times, and then we make an offering of ghee with the swaha. And then we say idam agnaye jatved se idam namama. We have discussed this mantra at length, but just want to point out why it is recited 5 times. Because here we are seeking 4 things. Praja, and they are in what is called accusative titya. So by means of this, what it would mean is I want to be enriched by means of praja, which is a quality children, by means of animals for milk and drought, by means of spiritual knowledge, Brahmvachasin, and then Annadyain. So here, Anna, this is a compound word, Anna plus Ath. Now it can be looked at as 2 options. Anna plus Ath is to consume. So, if I have food gain, but I don't have appetite, then it doesn't make sense. I cannot really transform the energy that is contained in food because I will not be able to digest it properly. This can also be looked at as Annadyan, Annad, as the is for Dadati, giving away. Now that can be used to interpret, that allows us to interpret as if not only I have these 4 gifts, Praja, Pashu, Brahmvachas, and Anna, I want to have them in the quantity that I can give them away also. Now this is, in the grammar there is a called bundling. If you have one and one thing, 2 things are there. If they are brought together such that it becomes one consisting of those 2 components, then it becomes one. That is called as samucchay. But otherwise, these are 2 things, and you are treating them as 2 things put together. So this is again bringing them to one bundle, but it's not that much of bringing together what is meant by samucchay. The reason I am saying it is, if it was samucchay, then these will not be, the titiya will be for the entire aggregate. you know. But it is not the case. It is as if they are separate. Being separate, there are 4 things we are seeking, and now we are saying, may I have them to the extent that I can give them away also. So that becomes, that ability to give away is the 5th component, is a 5th virtue, which will be suffixed to all the 4. So this 5th term, ability to give away, becomes a 5th independent virtue, which has to be suffixed to all the 4 individually. So I want Praja, I want Pashu, I want Brahmvachas, I want Anna, but more than that, I want Praja to the extent that I can give them for the noble cause. I want Pashu so that I can give them to others. I want Brahmvachas, not only knowledge, but ability to articulate it and transmit it to another being. I want Anna to fill up my appetite, give me enough, but then I want access so that I can give it to others. That meaning of having some access to give it to others, or ability to articulate knowledge to others, is an extra element that becomes 5th. So what I'm trying to highlight here is, though there are 4 things we are seeking, the 5th, why it is recited 5 times, is as if there is another bundle of 4 is counted as 5th. So that is a very unusual kind of method in Vedic culture where we sometimes treat bundle, making an aggregate of that, kind of a synthesis of that as a separate fifth entity. So that was slight explanation I may do here. Otherwise, we have discussed this mantra at length 2 weeks ago. Today we want to devote to this is a new chapter, new section I should say. This is a sprinkling of water around the Havan Kund. I have made this remark, if you remember right in the beginning, that the whole Agnihotra is a kind of a simulation of what we see in the universe. And two principal entities that the Agnihotra represent is Agni and Som. So to say, Agni is the sun and Som is the moon. They together nourish our earth in the same manner as father and mother nourish the children and their family. So, in that sense, father is a connotation for the sun, and mother is the connotation for the moon. And here we see that the fire in the Havan Kund is the representation for what we call Agni, the fire, the sun, the father, and the water is representing the moon, the mother, and that capability of giving that soothing sensation. So this is another dipole, which is the principal dipole in Agnihotra, the fire and water. So, and this is also interesting that yes, and we have done the Archman and Angispers, where the value of water was well understood, and we saw that our own system, the body system, must have the fire, is it not? If the temperature goes below 37 degrees Celsius, then there is a problem. And if it is too cold, that's what a dead body is. So without fire, there is no life, as simple as that. And without water also, there is no life, is it not? Our body as such is 70 plus, more than 70% of water. So dehydration is also a principal cause of death. So we ourselves represent two in one, namely fire and water. So these are two important substances, two important things in the nature, and they are originating from Agni. That Agni is also called as Som, and that Agni and Som together are representing the Agnihotra that we are doing. So at this stage, once the fire has been ignited and it has been enhanced by 3 Samidas and 5 offerings of ghee, now it has slightly built up. It has a lifetime. And now we say that it is time to surround it. It should be encircled. Though fire is good, even the physical fire, but it must be within its boundaries. It should not be uncontrolled. Uncontrolled fire is undesirable. So that controlling factor of fire is coming from water, and we sprinkle water around the 4 sides of the Havan Kund. And that symbolically means, and that is truly the Vedic culture, that fire is surrounded by water and not other way around. It's not that water is surrounded by fire, is it not? And that has a message for us, particularly all the householders, that husband and wife ideally must work in function in harmony for their own well-being, development, growth, and also that of their family, their children, etc. But sometimes if the harmony is lacking, If there is, then the final word is that of the mother of the house, is it not? Mother of the family, the lady of the house, so to say. So that is what is the meaning of water surrounding the fire and not fire. So that is captured very well in Rigveda as well as Yajurveda, that is other Pashya. The one part is Stihi Brahma Babhuvita, as if woman is the captain of the ship, if you call family as the ship. So that is a kind of a simulation that we are seeing in Agnihotra, that water is surrounding the fire. Now again here, there is that bundle thing is there. Like 4 plus 1 became 5. Here we see 3 plus 1 becoming 4. So basically there are 3 mantras in the same manner. The 3 words change here. Aditi, Anumati, Sarasvati. And the mantra is Om Adite Anumanyaswa. So Adite, as if I am addressing Aditi, and then what am I saying? Anu is I will follow, and Manyaswa mean I am expressing my resolve that I will always follow you. So first time I say I will follow Aditi. Second time I say I will follow Anumati. And third time I say Saraswati. Because the magic number 3 is a kind of, though there is a dipole here, but magic number 3 is also is a kind of an undercurrent throughout the Agnihotra, right from Om Bhur Bhuvaswa, even before that, 3 times Achman, the magic number 3 is right there, even though the dipole is Agni and Som, is it not? So that 3 is still seen here. But then, of course, there are 4 directions, 4 sides of a Agnihotra, Havan Kund. So there is a fourth mantra that is kind of capping it up, just to cap it, so to say. So this this is very beautiful. 3 layers of knowledge, Let's see it. So Aditi is, now since we are discussing spiritual aspects of Agnihotra, let us interpret it in that direction. So first level of knowledge acquisition is what is called Aditi. Aditi is negation here. Here is not separate. Here Anu is the prefix. So don't look at this is negation, while this is not separately coming. It is coming as Anu. And Anu is a upsarg, what is called prefix. Is also a prefix. Is for negation, like symmetry becomes asymmetry, is it not? Whereas un also comes for negation, like equal and unequal. But here it is not un, it is anumati. So I want to discuss with you the 3 terms Aditi, where A is in negation, Dite is what is called Dvitva. This is Do Aukhandane. That is the root. When Mahishi Dayanand discusses 100 plus names of Ishwar in the first chapter of Satyat Prakash, he is writing the etymology of the term Aditya. So Aditya is actually nothing but born out of Aditi. So in that case, he says the root is Do Aukhandane. Do is 2, is it not? So when 1 becomes 2, as if it has been khandit. Aukhandane means as it has been partitioned. So when something is like you take an apple and let a knife go through it, 1 apple becomes 2 pieces. It's not. That is aukhandane. You have made khandit kiya. Matlab you means you have made 2 pieces out of 1. Now negation means that is not permissible. The separation, the cutting off, the chopping off is impossible, is not to be done. What does it mean then? So Aditi means there is absolutely no possibility of a fork becoming. When the road becomes a fork, then it becomes two passages. There are two roads. And then you have to decide, do I go towards left or towards right? Is it not? Because you have a choice now. You are coming on a straight road, but now you see there is a bifurcation, there is a fork. So you have to decide which way to go. But now Aditi means there is absolutely no possibility of one becoming two. So you are on one straight road, is it not? So there is never the possibility of deviating from the path. Only that possibility arises if there is a bifurcation. Suppose the right path was to the left, but you took the right side. Then you were on the wrong path, is it not? Then you don't get the right knowledge, is it not? So the path to knowledge has been described here at three levels. At level one, we are being told that this is Aditi, that there is some sort of knowledge we all have that we can never deviate from. It's interesting, isn't it? That we are born with some knowledge that we will never deviate from, and we must follow that. We must follow that. What are that? That is our instinctive knowledge, is it not? So we are all born with an instinctive knowledge. And basic instinct is survival instinct. We are always there. We always have fear from death. Nobody wants to die, is it not? But somebody then say, if it is impossible to deviate from it, why am I saying Anumanyaswa? That's why a human being is unusual. Though we have so many instinctive features, but we are born with a gift of freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of action, freedom of speech, is it not? So even though I am born with survival instinct, and I have been told, ko vanne ve karmani, jiji vishesh satam shama. You should desire to live 100 years. And that survival instinct has been programmed in my mind. Yet, there are human beings who commit suicide, is it not? They want to cut short their life, which is going against the survival instinct. So, on the one side, I am born with a powerful survival instinct that I don't want to die. I want to live and even elongate my lifespan. But on the other hand, if it comes to that, a human being can cut short his life. May, and then he is violating this principle, is it not? So what am I saying? I am born with a bundle of knowledge that you have embedded in my mind when you sent me into this world, and that is you are Aditi. And that gift of your knowledge, I will treat it as sacrosanct. That will be my guiding principles, and I will always follow that. Very good enough. Those who follow this, you have to follow it to qualify to become a receptacle or to become a recipient of the second level of knowledge. If you are not wholeheartedly here, you even harm your body by putting in all kinds of unwanted stuff, intoxicants and whatnot. You eat wrong kind of stuffs, then you are violating even all this. what was very natural. Our diet is naturally diet of a herbivore. As a child, you don't expect not to play with a rabbit, but kill it and eat it. That is not going to happen because that is our instinctive Aditi. As a human being, as a child, we all love to play with a small animal. We can never imagine that somebody can kill it for my food, is it not? But if I do not do that, I violate this principle. Then this will never happen to me. But if I am giving full regards to this, then I become entitled to second level of knowledge, that is Anumati. It is same Agni, same Ishwar, who is that source of light, who is enlightening me with different layers of knowledge. What we saw last week in the form of as Agni, as Jat Vedas, as Angyas. So now here also we see it in practical day-to-day applications. Yes, my life can benefit from these three levels of knowledge that is imparted to me by that Supreme Being. So as Aditi, he has given me natural instincts and I should observe my instincts and follow them and maybe strengthen them, not go against them. Like what we are seeing, somebody in some country, some city have eaten snakes and bats, whatnot, senseless thing, and the whole world is engulfed with a crisis, is it not? Somebody has violated this, not only this, even this, multiple times, and senseless thing. And we are also going through the harm, and many others people, like hundreds of thousands, are getting killed, because we violated these principles. So let's look at Anumati. So when you are strong here, then something happens in your mind. And he gives you, so this is universally given as default. But now this is selective. This is selective. You have to be qualified. And then what does he do it? He gives you a flash of knowledge. But it is not that selective in the sense it is in everybody's day-to-day life. This is that conscience, that inner voice. When I am about to violate it, he warns me within me. What Maharishi Dayananda writes as Shanka, Bhay and Lajja. There is an element of doubt and fear that nobody is seeing me. You do such all senseless things in hiding, is it not? And if somebody sees it, that will be very shameful, ashamed of. So that is three layers of triple warning. So you see, magic number 3 is there. Within this, his warning is threefold. Warning number 1, there is an element in my doubt. If I want to fill up some false thing in my tax form, my income is says 20,000, but I want to write 18,000, something like that. There is a doubt in my, am I doing right? Then there is fear. Suppose the tax department finds it out. Then I have to think about all these means so that I don't get caught. And then if somehow they are also smart people, they find out, then they will be fined. I may be imprisoned. Others will also know it. That will be very shameful. So warning is always threefold. That is Anumati. And when he's warning, he is showing you the right direction. What we say in Gayatri Mantra. Dhyo yo na prachodaya. You guide my intellectual faculty. And if I follow that, then I am qualified from the second level. I have cleared the second benchmark also. Is it not? So if I am always, Anu means following the guidance, the signs from him, that is directly coming from him to me in my mind. It's not coming, I am reading from books. It is direct communication from him to me. But it's not to everybody. Those who violated here, if you ask them, if you go to China, Wuhan, and tell them, ask him if you were buying snakes or bats to, to eat, didn't you have an inner voice? He will say, no, I don't have inner voice. Because he has violated this principle umpteen times in his life. Is it not? He doesn't have inner voice. So those who obeyed this to fullest extent, maximum extent, they were privileged enough to get further guidance from Ishwar, that Agni, who is guiding now one to one. This is entire humanity is getting this. This is some of us who are quite good people, still decent people. And if you occasionally fail here, if you fail here too many times, you may get to this level. But if you have done very well, reasonable, average, you are stuck here. But if you have gone through this principle, very, you are in a dedicated manner, then you are qualified for the third level. What is this third level? Sarasvati. This was Aditi. It takes birth by itself. Anumati, somebody shows you a light once in a while. And here, this is a very special flash that appears deep in meditation, is it not? So now you have to make effort to seek him. Here, he was seeking you. He is watching you as your mother and father. Oh, my child is about to do something wrong. I should warn him. But here, you have love for him. You are seeking him. So you have kept certain space and time to be with him. Upasana. And then you say, I want to be with him and get something special from him. I have no idea what is that. But I am so confident because he is Aditi, or you call she, whatever you like it. That is grammar. She is Anumati, and I want to see her as Saraswati. Saras is the root that it flows. It flows. Sayita is for the river. It flows. It never stops. Is it not? So there is a stream of knowledge that is always flowing. Provided I seek him, I seek her. So I do upasana every morning and evening with him. We try to disconnect from my mind, and then I am with him. And then he doesn't let me go alone. He gives me a gift like Nachiketa. He stayed at the doorsteps of Yam for 3 nights, 3 consecutive nights. Hungry, thirsty, cold. He survived all that because he was steadfast. He wanted answer to those questions right from the original source. He was so steadfast. And if we are like that, not for 3 days, 3 nights, but practicing morning and evening, what Patanjali calls abhyas, nayantaya, dad bhumi satkaya sevito, with positive attitude, without any interruptions, and dad bhumi. So it gets grounded to me, it becomes part of me. That is what he calls abhyas. He uses three characteristics. Let's see, yeah. Satu, Digh I am reading from 1.14 Yog Sutra. Satu, that should happen. Two is definitely. Digh long period. He's not emphasizing it. For some, it may be few months, years, for lifetimes. It takes long. Nayantaya should be continuous without any interruptions. Then Satkaya Sevito, with positive attitude, like it will happen, like I have been benefited by Aditi, by Anumati, I will be gifted by Sarasvati also. If these two things I have seen, this will also happen. Then he says, Dad Bhumi, that abhyas becomes Dad Bhumi, it is grounded in you, it has become part of you. If you have met these three parameters, you should know. Digakal, if you give up, oh, I practice enough, so many months, so many years, not much has happened, then you give up because you did not look after this factor, Digakal. Nayantaya, you do once a while, not every morning, not every evening, then you are not doing that. Satkaya Sevito, you have some doubts. Patanjali might have just written and it's maybe just conjectures. Is it not proven? Things like that. Then you have your doubt about that. That also doesn't work, is it not? So, if you have not violated Aditi, Anumati, and now you seek out for him, you practice Patanjali Yoga, meditation practice, Sankhya, Yoga, Upanishads, what they call Upasana, and then you get a flash of it. That very selected people. This is very, very selected people. Like Newton. He's just relaxing. He sees an apple falling that anybody must have seen million of times. Of course, in Indian Vedic culture, Vedic scientists knew about it. But from the modern point of view, the European society, they were in darkness. They didn't know law of gravitational pull. But the flash came in his mind. That was Agni's gift to him. Because he was relaxed. It was not that he was thinking hard in his laboratory or in his library. He was relaxed. Mind was let loose. And then that entity, he just needs one flash. He can give you as and when he wants to give you. That's what Vyas is writing. In the very early part of Patanjali Yoga Samadhi, he says Chit is in 5 states: Kshipta, Mood, Vikshipta, Ekagya, and Nirudha. Of course, our objective in Patanjali Yoga is Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha, to bring our Chit in the Nirodha state, thoroughly subdued. But then Vyas makes an important, very interesting observation. Samadhi may happen in any of these 5 states. Because Samadhi is not you each there. He has taken you in his lap. Samadhi should not be misunderstood as it is my right. I want to go and I will enter into that room. No. So that is a state. He takes you there. Of course, to practice, this is the way. You have to go from Vikshipta to Ekagya to Nirudh state. That's what Abhyas and Vairagya is all about, the practice. But when it comes to him, you don't know whom will he bless with that knowledge or that thing. That's a special thing. And when he gives you, then he is Sarasvati and you are at the receiving end. And it may happen. You are not formally sitting, like Newton was not formally doing meditation, but he captured that. Same thing with Archimedes. He is entering into a water pool to take bath. But he just feels that his foot that he wants to put into water experiences some upward force. And he has his Eureka moment. This is buoyancy force. When I have displaced water by a certain amount, when I was putting my foot into water, that displaced water is throwing my foot up, attempting to throw it up. And then he works it out. And he calls it as Archimedes' principle. This is not. So the samadhi can happen in any states. So this Saraswati may enlighten you in any state. But to become a qualified person that is more likely to receive these flashes, Upasana is the means. Wonderful. So these are three mantras used to put first on the east side, then on the west, then on the north, left side. And then there it is 3 plus 1. Sanctity of 3 has been maintained. And then that is capped by a fourth mantra, as if somebody somehow it is wrapping it up. So 3 plus 1 is becoming 4. It's not that 4 is a, so that is why after this we don't sprinkle water on the south side, but on all the 4 sides. So that bundling we discussed, 4 became 5, 3 is becoming 4. Now it is looked as a bundle, all the 4 directions. Though we took care of only 3 directions prior to that. This is a concept, interesting concept, but we will postpone this month. Yajurveda, 30th chapter, first month. We will postpone it to the next week, but I am just because I opened that file, I might as well show you. Yeah. Mahesh Dayanand's commentary on the 30th chapter. This is where we will begin from. We'll begin next week, but I found it very interesting. This is Yajurveda 30th chapter, first mantra, and here the Devata is Savita, as we can see, Savita, and his Savita as such in Hindi is a feminine word, but in Sanskrit it is masculine word, so that's why I say he. So we are seeking Savita, Dev, you propel or motivate, plus Suva. This word Suva is also coming from Savita, because Savita gives birth and can also inspire. Prasuva Yajyam and Prasuva Yajyapatim. We'll discuss all this, but I wanted to show you the next 2 mantras, very interesting. So this mantra is followed by Gayatri mantra. Tat Savito Vainyam Bhargo Devasya. Again, Savita is the Devata. So that was 30th point 1. This is 30th point 2. Again, Savita Devata. And we have that. Gayatri Mantra is, of course, for enlightening of our intellectual faculty. So we'll see, though that is used for sprinkling of water, but there is a tremendous amount of intellectual buddhi is involved. And look at the third mantra, is again very familiar to us. Vishwani Dev Savita Duitani Payas. Again, he is Savita Dev, the Devata of the month is Savita. And here we are seeing, you remove all the impurities from my mind and fill it with all goodnesses. So we'll of course concentrate on the first mantra. But today, in this remaining few minutes, I have shown you the sequence of three mantras, namely Yajurved 30th.1 that we'll discuss next week, Dev Savitah Prasuva Yajyam Prasuve. And we'll see, of course, as a from intellectual, spiritual point of view. And we can see the context is indeed spiritual because it is followed by Gayatri Mantra and then Vishwani Dev. Thank you very much for your attention. We'll meet again next week.